Alright. We should be live currently.
Yeah. Feel free to drag in Soleil against their will.
Yeah, give me a second.
Held at gunpoint.
Alright. I will do so. Bip. Hello, Soleil. How are you doing?
I'm doing alright. So hey everybody, welcome to another iteration of DBA Downtimes, a spin-off or offshoot of our weekly tabletop RPG run in the anime campaign or Epithet System. We have plenty of spin-offs here with DBA, and as it is a tabletop RPG, it is an RPG, it focuses on role-playing and typically combat, or at least some sort of scenario that can be equated to such. And while we have other spin-offs, like our DBA Data Bounties, which are focused on giving us a challenge battle, downtimes are the RP side of things, where we can have an RP scenario that is a specific cutscene or what have you, maybe a little thing with a bunch of people just going to one location and talking, that is meant mostly for RP. Maybe there's a little bit extra depending on what's going on. But it's basically a way for us to RP it out with our characters without being televised in universe, because that's a thing with DBA. That typically things are shown to the world via television, and unless downtimes are specified, they are not.
Yeah, no, that reminds me. That was one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Drake. Would this be televised or broadcast to the DBA?
Yes.
Alright, I wanted to confirm that, but that's the one thing that slipped my tongue.
Well, in this case, I suppose it is being broadcast, but other times not. And this is a specific kind of downtime, a short story, which is basically our way of saying it is a cutscene or a specific event that is taking place rather than a gaggle of fuckers just existing in a room and talking at each other. So, for this particular one, we have two main people involved. We have our man of the hour with their funny, wacky man, Trasigo. We have Ballast.
Hello everyone, I'm Ballast, and let's see what happens to my funny cartoon man. Why don't we?
And then we have the one that is orchestrating this in the first place, Drake.
Hello all. I am Drake. This is quite possibly, I believe, year, if not years, in the making. And I hope it ends well.
Yeah. So, those are the main people involved. You may be wondering who I am. I am being dragged down here specifically to shill, and then I will be leaving. But I'm Patronix to Slay, whichever you prefer. If you're new around here, you're enjoying yourself, and you want to know when, where, how, why, you can catch up with more of the things we're doing here on this Twitch channel, whether it be DBA or otherwise. You should join our funny Discord server. Dining! Yahoo! There's the link! Click it. Go there. You can get notified when we're doing stuff. Talk to people, post your funny things. There you go. And with that, let's see how things go with the funny cartoon man. Hope you have fun there, pal.
Well said. In that case, I'm going to take just a little moment to, get back into the vibe of things, and then I will begin with my long-winded and absorbing speech. Please take this time to fetch yourself a beverage, or perhaps meditate and lament on the wrongdoings you've done in your life. Okay, let us begin. you all could not tell already, the tone of this short story is not going to be necessarily light or goofy in nature. The effects and costs of Trisigo's outclass are bountiful in dream.
I didn't. You cut out for a bit of that. Could you repeat that for me?
Which part?
The effects are.
The effects of Trisigo's outclass are, in many cases, bountiful and extreme.
I see. I see.
In the encounter Trisigo had used them in, he had triggered, most notably, 5 of the numerous effects. And for those who don't recall what Trisigo's overclass does, it is the modern age of animation. Um, Much how his outclass represents the golden age of animation, back in the days, the 1900s, of Looney Tunes and the likes, Animaniacs, everything running wild. It was unrivaled in the cartoon world and stayed around for, well, a very long time, influencing even what animation culture we have today, being the foundation and pinnacle of such. His overclass reflects the modern day of animation, and seeing as the system we run all of this in is anime campaign, it only makes sense for the modern day of animation to be represented by what many of us love, anime itself. It allows him to access a number of tropes based off of anime, primarily shonen because hee hee, hoo hoo, monkey brain loves combat. Um, Stuff like the power of friendship, dark, cursed energies looming in the back of the protagonist's pockets, huge, absurd, planet-busting attacks. Many of you likely understand. Very tropey things. In the encounter, Trisigo used, I believe, 3 of them. Is that correct, Ballast?
It was dark power, power of friendship, and empowered attack. So yes.
Yes. To varying degrees, through the medium of a new character or form brought upon by his overclass. An individual by the name of Kane, representing what I described as the anime side of Trisigo and their epithet. Ballast was presented with an option to either have Trisigo fuse entirely with Kane, or for Kane to free themselves from the confines of Trisigo's soul and exist as their own separate entity. Ballast chose the latter, and here we are picking up the end effects of that. The tropes he used, the effects he triggered in the existence of Kane. Trisigo appears, stranded amidst a barren field of stone. Light gleaming from overhead, his shadow cast directly downward. His mind is cluttered, filled with static. His body feels loose, almost ephemeral, lagging behind his every action. When he moves his arm, it moves moments later. When he opens his mouth, what words do come out echo almost as if not his own. And as his gaze trails along the horizon of his enclosed space, he finds nothing but shadows and eyes beating down upon him. The feeling of being watched is palpable, and yet not one unfamiliar to Tresigo. He's spent his better years being watched for the amusement of others, the amusement of us higher beings, the audience, and the amusement of even his player ballast. Trapped in the endless cycle of puppetry. As he finds himself here today, that feeling ever growing, he thinks back to a time in his distant past when he first fully adapted to and controlled his epithet. As he ponders on such, his mind is inevitably brought to and through his better moments here at DBA, making bonds and becoming friends with a good number of the cast, making jokes and all around being rather whimsical. Even during his more serious and solemn moments, I think it's fair to say Tresigo has never truly been a darkly toned or otherwise blatantly serious character unless it came to the matter of his companions' livelihoods. However, within all of us, there is still the capacity for such. While Tresigo did not know, and as previously mentioned, the effects of his outclass are bountiful and in most cases extreme. As I continue on throughout this short story, Tresigo will slowly learn the effects of activating his overclass and, in turn, be allowed a response, which will forever alter the path of Tresigo himself and the effects of his new compatriot, Kane. Starting off, as everything sort of comes to an open, Tresigo looks up into the light and hears a voice, almost chuckling, laughing, seemingly enjoying themselves in the back of his mind. A seemingly ethereal wind spirals swirling around the spotlight and blows outward, causing a void of silence to fill the area. The words left with him are: A stands for antics. My greatest trick yet. Oftentimes, the greatest tricks are the ones you never question. Tricks that seem so real they couldn't possibly be fake. Tricks that feel realer and realer the more you see them. So profound that you could argue they were never tricks in the first place, merely misunderstood truths. As these words sort of echo within Tresigo's mind, he can feel a presence lifted off his shoulders. A tingling sensation runs down his limbs and through the breadth of his chest. As in this moment he looks down and can see himself almost flickering between what looks like his normally apparent cartoon self, and that of a more realistic variant or otherwise normal and mundane version. Because as I mentioned, merely misunderstood truths. The epithet antics is one such truth. For as it comes to light, Trisigo realizes it never truly existed. Everything Trisigo has done, whether it be of his own division or not, has seemingly been a result of his own willpower and the strength of his soul, an epithet merely being the guise of an excuse for why it came to be. But that doesn't necessarily mean Trisigo believes in that truth. Tell me, Ballast, what does Trisigo believe in? Why is he the way he is? Where does he come from?
Trisigo comes from a rather average family. Just mom and pop, 1920s. Obviously, being that as such, bit on the poor end, bit on the sad end, but, you know, a family is a family, and so long as they love each other, then that's all that they need, at least in a time such as that, really. What he believes in, as an extension of that, an extension of how he was raised, is that what matters in the world is to make sure that other people are getting more out of it because you are there. That your existence helps people in some way, shape, or form. That is
Wonderful.
what he believes in.
As this is spoken out into the world, Trisigo's body moves to mimic with the same brand of passion and energy Ballast elicited, gesturing wildly, chest gripped, the words echoing until they boom so loudly it could shatter glass, distraught and painful to the ears to hear. Then again a wind and silence fills the area. Trisigo, you feel your epithet in its entirety disappear, as if it was never there in the first place. You feel empty, but a form of solace rushes in to fill that void. The epithet antics and all of its graces disappear from the realm and return from whence they came, leaving a nigh untraceable trail. Anyone affected by the epithet in any way, shape, or form, such as in, for example, Trisigo's outclass, which is allow him to spread his talents to his allies, and ignorance is bliss, which, when left unstated, allows those who had those talents to keep them, should they escape the GM's mind. All such things of that nature, including the world's memories of Trisigo, disappear, left in their wake an immutable, intangible static. Black and white in nature, a fuzz and buzzing that fills the ears. When people attempt to recall Trisigo, they almost meet a brick wall. They struggle, they strain, their brow stern. All they see is a blank screen, then filled with static. Moving on. L stands for lost. Wrong channel. I'm sorry, Trisigo, but you are on the wrong channel. Lost to the ages. Will you ever return? Your airtime is fading. Trisigo looks down yet again to find his form has now become almost transparent, translucent and nature and enveloping him in almost dark bluish energy, intercepted and intertwined with like seemingly invisible, barely noticed by the eye strands of black and white. He flickers, flickers, flickers. Every time he attempts to focus on himself, it becomes harder and harder and harder to see. In his own mind, his own memories that he attempts to recall, bits and pieces of them are jumbled, twisted, merged together into a upsetting menagerie of almost panels, like a slideshow of sort, of which he is unable to ascertain the proper order or orientation of, almost like ripping pages out of a book, crumpling them in your fist, and then putting them back in a random order, then slamming the book closed, and opening it only for all the pages to fly out in a scurry, never to be seen again. Trisigo, in the same manner that your memories are scattered and lost, very important things, important parts of ourselves that we try to hold on to, we try to keep tight, in an attempt to prevent them from ever escaping in the first place. What is it that you think you could never live without?
Well, that's a deep question. Genuinely, I think the thing that I could not live without would be the smiles of children. They hope. Not hope as in hope as in the child, yes, but hope as in the concept within any child's carefree smile, really, would be the most important thing.
And as it is said, so it is spoken. Once again into the world you find a beating ambient energy enclose upon you. A stinging pain runs through your spine as flashes of imagery, the final bits and pieces of your memories, what little you can hold on to, fade. The last image being the beautiful, happy smiles of perhaps some of your fans, perhaps some of your audience members. Nonetheless, it doesn't matter. You see what it is you could not live without, staring you directly in the face, before even it too decides to join the rest and disappear. The light above you looms, Trisigo, staring down upon you this entire time, watching as the echoes of laughter that once appeared in your head reoccur. A simple yet jolly chuckle. A display of amusement at your now trifling existence. For every beat you deem important, a portion of your identity is lost. It's irritating, intrinsically so, an anger, a demand to know why this is all happening, what exactly is happening, a demand that is stifled and muted. Moving on. O stands for outclass, the end of animation. This is an effect that triggers when the golden age of animation is used alongside Trisigo's overclass, the modern day of animation. This triggers an intrinsical change in the person we know as Trisigo as a whole. In what was previously known as their epithet antics, a change that for now I will divulge very little of, for there are still pieces of the puzzle that need to be unlocked. But in this very moment, what I will say is Trisigo as a person has always and always will be not but a persona, a facsimile created by something long, long past. Something Trisigo, even as current before their memories had melted away, would not have understood. Something locked behind an immutable list of terms and agreements. Trisigo is, to put it more blatantly, not the true form of the character they represent. Yet, nonetheless, I will ask, Ballast, Trisigo, who do you think you are?
Well, I can't really say I know what Ballast is going to say. I can't hear him right now. I can't hear anyone but you, which he just kind of obviously not going in a manner as he would expect because of the fact that he is experiencing the delay of sorts. He just kind of tugs at his collar nervously. It's never been so quiet. I'm kind of afraid. But I don't know. I don't know.
As it is said, so it is spoken. You don't know. And how interestingly for you, that is the correct answer. You don't know. You have no way of knowing. For what truth you did hold on to has hence been wilted and thrown away. Who you are in certainty doesn't matter. We've already discussed what truly matters to you. Moving on. N is for nascent. The Cane Show. As again the winds appear around you, the area once again filled with silence. Your shadow, which has, for the entirety of this time, loomed just underneath you, almost a perfect circle, simple in nature, yet something so much can be held within. You feel a presence at your back, almost as if it's always been there, just never noticed, or perhaps as time has gone on, it's been growing, becoming ever more noticeable. You are a shadow of yourself. The perspective changes. The camera now focusing on Kane, looming in the background, a darkened, shadowy, flickering Trisigo, fallen to their knees, palms on their face, a silent cry for attention. Kane, you no longer need to bow to the whims of your captor. You are the real deal, a person in entirety, the true holder of the soul, the one and only unabashed holder of the identity Trisigo once held. Your memories may be loose, your past may be obscured, but in this moment, in perpetuity, you are the real thing, a person in whole. Trisigo begins to flicker. Cuts in their form appear, jittering, vibrating, and sliding amongst each other, causing a loud, grating, buzzing sound, as a film of static appears over him, and he disappears for a moment, only to reappear in the exact position, becoming ever more transparent as time goes on. Kane, who are you? Who do you want to be?
I'm going to be the strongest person. I'm going to be the most important person that I can be. Everything I'm going to have is going to be earned by myself and by none other.
And as it is said, so it is spoken. None other indeed. As your words echo out to the area, you find Trisigo disappears. And you find the focus shifts on to you. Welcome to the Kane Show. Moving on. E is for erased, tuned out. Tune in next time for a very special episode, folks. This show's cancelled, but another is on the rise, and I hope you'll attend our broadcast. Finalizing Trisigo's disappearance from the world, it is at this exact moment that the memories of those who may recall him become entirely immutable, are filled with static. A pillar of energy rises throughout the air, centered on a nondescript location within the world. As the clouds part, the spire of energy penetrates the atmosphere. And all such aforementioned effects of Trisigo disappear in totality. A change in the world, very, very apparently felt by those closely attuned with it. Very closely felt by those with power, those who hold any semblance of mental resistance or fortitude, immunity, or even those who hold and or possess a very keen memory. All of them in this moment feel a twinge, almost as if a strand connecting the world together was separated, cut, and left to die. It is at this moment I would like to call attention to the order that I have divulged these effects. As noted, they all represent a certain letter of the alphabet for many reasons. One of which is I'm just insane and do way too much than is needed or deserved for certain things, but it's whatever. I enjoy doing it. The other is the order of them is actually very important for the end in disclosing effects of Trasigo's overclass. And I will spell it out for those who have not yet picked it up. I began with A, I moved on to L, I moved on to O, I moved on to N, and then I finished with E. I don't think I need to tell anybody what that spells out and what that means. But I will nonetheless. It means that Cain, for the first time in their existence, is alone. Tied not down by anchors, tied not down by chains, tied not down by anything. They are themselves for once in their life. And they are allowed to do as they wish. Speaking of, for the final question before we come to an end. Cain, you know who you are. You know what you want to be. But what are your ambitions? And what are your goals? You want to be powerful, you want to be important, but how do you wish to achieve that?
Whatever methods I can find, and whatever feels the most. He stops, thinks on it for a bit to consider. Whatever methods I find, and more importantly, whatever one should bring the world to a state in which things are as they should be.
And as it is said, so it is spoken. The heir does not come this time. For it has no true reason. Looking down at yourself for the first time since you've arrived, Cain, you see what it is you expect. You see yourself. You see a beginning. And as you look down and clench your fists, the feeling of your skin pinching reverberates throughout your body. Your vision becomes clear, unclouded, and you feel content, powerful. The eyes watching you amidst the shadows begin to dissipate, flickering out one by one eye at a time. The spotlight overhead beams down with a brightness that only grows more and more intense by the moment, filling the area, causing your vision to white out and be overcome by its effects. you hear a voice echo throughout it, though not directed at you. No, its words almost seem to miss you entirely. The moment you hear them, they seem to have already fade past your ears. No, they seem to be directed at something else, directed at something you now no longer understand, a fleeting memory. How does it feel to be stranded, trapped, and tossed aside into a dusty old tomb of your own devising, with the desperation and passion you once possessed, posited against you, proved as an impermeable weapon? Do you walk in your shadow, or does your shadow walk alongside you? With what words and wit do you think to wash away the wilted truths you've whimsically withheld? I do hope to eventually hear your answer. The voice fades, and you are left with silence. That is the end of the short story. I understand that was a bit of a dark tone, and there's a lot of unanswered questions, but I hope everybody enjoyed me going on like a 30-minute rant. Or narrative. However long that was. I, as always, would like to thank my good old buddy pal and friend and compatriot Ballast, for attending and, setting aside their time to experience an emotional thrashing.
And I would like to thank Drake for being able to set aside the time to commence such a thrashing.
I would also like to thank everybody for watching. And if it hasn't been done already at the beginning of the stream, you guys should totally join the Discord server, the Discord server, the Discord server.
Mm-hmm. Which, at this time, I can grab for you to join.
Yeah. But aside from that, I think it is time we say goodbye.
In words said many a time, I believe I shall now say again, that is all, folks.